Because you're taller. That's better.
Well, it would be great if everybody would grab a seat and sit down for a little while. I'd like to take a moment and welcome you back to our wonderful community room here at the JCBA. Isn't this fabulous? Wow. For those of you who are in on the Zoom, there's about 40 or 50 people in the room. This is more people than we've seen in a long, long time in one place in here. And I just think it's fabulous. Thank you all for coming. This is really, really great. Tonight we kick off our annual 21-22 campaign for Jewish needs. And our campaign chair this year, well, Diane Newman is going to start us off tonight. And she is one of our co-campaign chairs. And she will give you everything you need to know about this year's campaign. And I'm going to let her come on up here. We're going to start with a toast. So if you didn't get wine on the way in, get some now. And you guys at home, grab a glass of wine too.
Hi, everyone. And it's so much fun to be able to see the TV screen with everybody. Hello, visitors, Zoomers. Well, this is such a special evening. I want to make a toast in honor of our campaign and our community. And I think we should say a Shekayano because this is a special night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shekayanu v'yamanu v'hikiyanu l'zman hazeh. Amen. I know we have all the rabbis here, but we're not letting you take any time. Anyway, I would be remiss if I didn't mention how lucky we are to have Lynn Bober in our community. She makes everything look beautiful and perfect, and it just brightens up the room. Thank you, Lynn, for being one of us. I thank you for the art museum, and I thank you for the Jewish community. I'm not going to tell you everything you need to know about the campaign because we have a wonderful video. And at this point, who's running the video? I guess Erin? Yes, she is. And so Erin, take it away.
The thing that I'm most proud of for JCC is the fact that we were able to continue our operations and continue to build community, run programs that we've always done, even though they may not look the same and they may have been different. But we can't, for example, we started a program called the Alternative Summer Experience, which allowed families to be able to continue to work, drop their kids off, give the kids an opportunity to be out in the in a camp type atmosphere, even though we're still restricted by all the different things with the pandemic. Same thing with our senior programs. We still offered senior programs, even though it wasn't happening here. We added the Soup for the Soul program. We had conversations with seniors. They would drive by, and Julie and other staff and volunteers would meet with them, talk with them. We call seniors to make sure they were doing okay. In light of everything that's going on with, the pandemic, it was not to be a SIP program or a subsidy program for seniors. It was really designed to be an opportunity to engage with seniors and to provide something that made them feel good, that made them feel like they were part of our community and that people were thinking about them and gave them a sense of belonging and being part of who we are. So it really, if nothing else, was an engagement point. The response not only from the seniors who received it, that obviously loved the program, but we at a peak were over 200 people that we served with that program. But what was just as satisfying or a sense of accomplishment was the volunteers that took part in delivering the soup to help out with the delivery, as well as the donations that we received. Once we publicized what we were doing, the community as well as the seniors themselves stepped up with, I believe, almost $20,000 in contributions, strictly designated for the program itself. It was more than just soup for the soul. We did have conversations with seniors, and it was the group when when things were lifting a little bit. We had more demand from seniors for programming than I think we did anywhere else. Obviously, with the early childhood and family programming, people needed our services, but it was our Silver Sneakers program, and our seniors were asking, why aren't you doing it? When can we come back? When are you going to revive programming? They were coming to our the fitness center and still coming and doing whatever they could, but they were the ones that were really pushing us, asking when are you going to offer classes again? When we look at impact, I think we were feeling a need for families in general to bring some normalcy. We talked about the early childhood Mandel early childhood center, and with that, we were able to start up and run all the programs that we were running. Maybe again, not to the scale that we did before, where we were at capacity. We reduced our capacity, and we were able to provide that, quite frankly, some of the highest quality programming that we provided, certainly since I've been here. And I can tell you that Kim, our director, said it was one of the most satisfying years that she has said, not only here at the JCC, but in her career, that it was just seeing the development of the kids really on a smaller scale, and to work through with families. Again, they needed us to be there, and that's exactly what we did. It wasn't only with the early childhood; it was with the school-age children. We offered a distance learning program to kind of meet the needs of the families who had to work, but their schools were all closed, so we were here for them to be able to provide that support and that service. A big part of our accomplishment was building community, providing services, throughout the pandemic, and as things started to ease up. And we wouldn't be able to do that without the financial support that we've gotten from the community, from the JCBA, from all the donors, that have supported us this year and really every year.
The challenges with COVID really had an impact on education globally. It certainly had an impact here at the Whitman School on campus. But what I know about our school and our community is how resilient we were in the face of these challenges, and how much innovation our school was able to incorporate in meeting the needs of families and students here. And at the end of the speaking of so struggling with it in some ways, I really feel like the school is in a stronger place than it was pre-pandemic. I think what happened during the last couple of years was parents really understood the value of open school education, and they understood that in this small community of really caring professionals and professionals who live the Jewish values that are found throughout our campus, that they were able to recognize that having their kids here was really important for many reasons, not just the small student-teacher ratio, but also the connection with the families during this time. I think the ability of our campus and our school to stay very closely connected with the needs of our families and communicate how the kids are doing during these times is really something about our school that I feel really proud about, and I learned even more about during these times. Yeah. One of the values about family in the Jewish tradition that shines through in the school is that it's a partnership between the parents and the teachers and the students. And again, that really became even more evident during the last couple of years. And when kids and families needed us to be flexible, or needed us to be more supportive, or needed us to challenge kids in just the right way, whether that was being in person or online opportunities, we were able to do what it took to make this education work for them in these unique times. And I think it really is are those values that are sort of make the school and the campus so special. So as a donor to the campaign, I think we can all feel really proud that our dollars are supporting not just the Lippman School, but all the programs on campus where these values have shown so brightly at a time when families need us, the community needs us, and the investment that donors are making into this school and this community at this time have really paid great dividends. It's been very rewarding to be the head of the Lippman School during these tough times. It hasn't been easy, but we have a supportive group of professionals and a supportive community and community members who are continuing to invest in us during these times. It really, you really recognize how special this place is.
During the pandemic, volunteers from here came over to my house and gave me through the JFS a camera, a video, and hooked it up. I was amazed. And now I watch Zoom for every event around everywhere. And I can see them and talk to them, and it's wonderful. I know that if I need a ride somewhere or need anything in my house, I know that they would be there.
Israel is exactly for this reason. I'm here for you as your virtual Sharia. My name is Shalom Instinct, and I live from Israel. And this year I'm going to be Israel programming live from Israel. Thanks to your generosity, I have this amazing opportunity to engage all ages, from seniors to kids in your community. I'm delighted to serve your community and be your first ever virtual Sharia. I look forward to seeing you in all our programming, and thank you once again for supporting the Federation and in particular Israel programming. Thank you.
We have the lights back on. And now I'd like to introduce our wonderful co-chair, a newcomer essentially to Akron, David Scott.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very honored to co-chair this campaign with Diane. Thank you very much for that nice introduction. Tonight, we have the honor of hearing from Howie Bagelman. Since 2015, Mr. Bagelman has been the Executive Director of Ohio Jewish Communities, or OJC, which leads lobbying efforts for Ohio's 8 Jewish federations. In our work with them over the years, OJC has had a great impact on Akron. In areas of government advocacy, OJC has helped to successfully enact several state-funded anti-terrorism programs and increase federal anti-terrorism funding across Ohio, delivering over $15 million to Jewish agencies statewide. OJC has managed diverse state and national coalitions to pass bipartisan legislation, such as Ohio's Holocaust and Genocide Memorial and Education Commission. OJC has strengthened community relationships, including leading missions to Israel with community leaders and managing visits by elected officials and diplomats to communities statewide. Prior to coming to OJC, Mr. Bagelman was a freelance writer and public affairs consultant in New York City, and has also worked for the Orthodox Union, where he held positions of Director of State Affairs and Deputy Director of Public Policy. He studied at Yeshiva University in Georgetown. Ladies and gentlemen, Howie Bagelman.
much. For some of you, tonight may be the first time that you are hearing of Ohio Jewish communities. I know that Marty Belsky, my first board chair, was all about the work that we do. But otherwise, I like to say that sometimes we're the best kept secret in Ohio. In a word, we're lobbyists. And no, that's not a four-letter word. We are proud to be the bipartisan lobbyists of Ohio's 8 Jewish federations. And since 2017, Ohio Jewish Communities has led on state and federal advocacy that's resulted in close to 350 grants, totaling more than $65 million to more than 140 Jewish agencies. On items that we alone advocated on, with no one else helping us, there's still over $17 million in state and federal funding for 140 grants to 75 Jewish agencies. I'll let you do the math in reverse to figure out our yearly allocations total. But our return on investment to our Jewish communities statewide this past year was over 21,000%. 21,000%. I challenge you, find me in any stock with that return. And if you take out the advocacy and leave it just with the work that OJC did on their own, we still come out about over 4,000%. You might want to purchase from Amazon, but that's still pretty respectable. But this concept that each community works together and that we all advocate together, I hope seems like common sense. But I know that some of you are probably thinking, sounds like a pipe dream. I'm here to tell you, we're both right. I won't say that getting consensus from 8 very different communities on the most pressing public policy issues of our day is always easy. I won't say there isn't tension at times between different geographic regions or differently sized communities. And I won't say that in these polarizing political times, there aren't people asking, is a bipartisan focus really the right way we should be going? But I will say that we talk it through, we tough it out, and we get to a shared advocacy vision. I will say that it's worth it. And I will say that I think our results speak for themselves. These past few weeks have showcased several times over OJC's usually behind the scenes role in coordinating and convening community advocacy. We've helped Israel's consulate get the Israeli Ministry of Health expertise in front of Ohio's public health leaders. We helped Israel's ambassador for social impact to reach some of the most critical state and federal offices in Ohio. Behind the scenes, our office helped coordinate a virtual advocacy day led by the Cleveland Federation that met with both US senators and several of Ohio's most important congressional offices. We followed up on a meeting from this past summer between almost every Jewish agency in Columbus and a new county commissioner. That kind of meeting will hopefully yield results for Columbus, but as a pilot project for the entire state, it will yield benefit hopefully for all our communities statewide. We continue to work with Ohio's Department of Public Safety, our community security directors, and our Jewish agencies regarding the new round of state security grants, even as we continue to advocate for increased federal funding to keep our communities safe. And we're pushing the unique collaboration here statewide of our Jewish communities, including our larger ones with our smaller ones, on safety issues. But we also strategically look out to build critical relationships for the long term for our communities here, but also for our brothers and sisters in Israel. There's no other statewide organization focused on bringing state legislators and civic and business leaders to Israel. OJC has been privileged to bring several Akron area elected officials, including Representative Amelia Sykes and Frank LaRose, first as state senator and then as Secretary of State. We are making sure that Ohio and Israel are connected more deeply today and long into the future. In doing all this, we continue to prioritize the needs of our local Jewish communities right now. This past year alone, OJC's advocacy has meant $8.5 million for new security grants at the state budget, on top of $4.89 million in federal security grants awarded in Ohio. It's meant a new statewide Holocaust and Genocide Education Memorial Commission and $400,000 to fund that commission's vital work. It's meant $500,000 for a new pilot project aimed at keeping seniors living in their homes. And it's meant over $800,000 in state capital grant funding, including a grant right here on this campus. And it's meant hundreds of thousands of dollars more for critical programs locally, like Meals on Wheels in Youngstown, mental health counseling in Cincinnati, and workforce development in Columbus. And of course, we do even more in partnership and in coalition, such as a state Senate passage of a bill that will protect the rights of religious minorities in high school sports. We testified in the House on this bill this past week and continue to advocate for its passage there as well, such as getting more Medicaid funding to our skilled nursing facilities faster through a new rebasing date, and increasing Medicaid's hourly rate for home health care workers, including those employed by JFSA right here in Northeast Ohio. We're making sure our day schools have the resources they need, including a new tax credit program that will help provide scholarships for the most needy students. And we are working directly with Governor DeWine and Attorney General Yost on addressing anti-Semitism and hate with practical policy changes. All of this is because our 8 federations and our 8 Jewish communities are working together. It's true, much of our support comes from the big 3 cities, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus. But each community helps all the others. Some of our most important legislators are from Canton, Toledo, and Youngstown. Our communities there are the linchpin of our relationship building, so critical to our outreach. We look to Canton's Kirk Schuring when he was in the Ohio House to lead on passing Ohio's anti-boycott, divestment, and sanctions bill. It's the only anti-BDS law in the nation to also include a provision for proactive positive investment in Israel by doubling the amount of investment that county and state treasurers in Ohio can make in certain foreign bonds, such as Israel bonds. Today, the state of Ohio and 15 counties in Ohio collectively own $270 million in Israel bonds. That combination makes Ohio state and county treasurers the largest governmental owners of Israel bonds in the nation. Summit County alone has $6.5 million in bonds, their legally allowed maximum. In the state Senate, Mr. Schuring has been a leader of ours for our community on security needs, in particular, championing changing the grant program to allow for the hiring of security guards and special duty police. Senator Teresa Gavarone represents our Toledo community, and she is the leader of that legislation I just mentioned, helping to accommodate high school athletes wearing religiously required clothing. And State Senator Michael Rowley of Youngstown saw that Ohio was ranked far too low in Holocaust education among Generation Z. He took the lead on our bill to create the Holocaust Commission, which passed in record time. So every community plays its part in our communal advocacy to benefit our entire community statewide. But Akron, you guys, you play a very special and outsized role in all of this. You are represented in the Ohio House by Amelia Sykes, the minority leader, and the Ohio Senate by Vernon Sykes, the ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee. Along with Senate Minority Leader Kenny Yuko, there could not be 3 more important people in the state of Ohio and the Democratic Party for our community advocacy. Akron's involvement with OJC therefore pays dividends statewide and nationally and globally, but also right here at home. Akron has received since 2017, $2.5 million in 18 grants to 6 Jewish agencies. And all of this is because of you. Because of your generosity, students at OU in Athens and worshipers at a synagogue in Lorraine are safer. Because of your generosity, Holocaust education and memorial across Ohio is stronger. Because of your generosity, our nonprofit home health care agencies and our skilled nursing facilities are better able to take care of our seniors most in need. Because of your generosity, Israel remains a bipartisan issue, clear across Ohio. Our work and the work of our national and international partners is only possible because of the JCBA, Ohio Jewish Communities, Jewish Federations in North America, the Secure Community Network, the JDC, and the Jewish Agency. We are all beneficiary of the JCBA annual campaign. Because of your generosity, and only because of your generosity, can we do our work. Thank you for being our partners. If you care about a safer Jewish today that honors our Jewish past while laying the foundation for a more vibrant Jewish tomorrow, Akron's support of OJC is necessary. That makes your support of the JCBA indispensable. Please continue to give generously.
Thank you, Howie. Does anyone have any questions for Howie? Well, I did. Yes, Mark.
We were told at our community relations committee meeting last night that there is potentially legislation going to be introduced in Ohio on curriculum issues like in Texas, where they want to teach the opposite viewpoint of the Holocaust. What efforts are you undertaking or do you plan to undertake to lobby against that legislation?
Yeah, okay. It's already introduced. There's two different bills. There's a really bad bill and a less bad bill. We're actually working with all the JCRCs now. We're giving everybody to talk about exactly what every community will do and what we're doing. I've actually had a meeting with both sponsors of both bills right now. I've laid out for them, again, the issues. Again, unfortunately, I had one this morning actually, and unfortunately the Texas case was actually really helpful, unfortunately. We're also, it's a complicated issue because we have to work with in concert beyond the Jewish community. We don't want to just help ourselves in this case, we want to help everyone. So it's a more complicated advocacy piece for us, but we're reaching out to the sponsors and to other leadership to talk about this issue specifically. We have noted to people that, again, some of the language is incredibly overbroad and probably has unintended consequences, like what happened in Texas, as well as other things as well. For instance, stopping partnerships between Holocaust centers and Holocaust museums and public schools, things like that, right, where they would train or teach students or train teachers. So it's a really complicated issue, unfortunately. But and the good news is it's probably not moving anywhere fast right now. But all eight communities have been working on it separately and together.
Who are these sponsors?
It's Representative Renzel and Arthur Fowler are one bill, and Rep. Don Jones, who is the majority whip, is the other bill.
They're pro.
So they think that they're not pro. They're not pro teaching the Holocaust, both sides of the Holocaust. That's not something they don't want that to happen. And they say when we bring this up to them, that's not what they mean for the bill to do. They want to keep what happened in Texas is actually very illustrative. Meaning, an administrator of a school in Texas told teachers they have to teach both sides of the Holocaust. What are both sides? Right. So, and we've said that to them. That obviously, here we look at it, we say there are no two sides to certain things. When we talk about Israel education, Israel advocacy, in talking about current events in schools, or we talk about Holocaust education, we want that taught through the lens of an American value, not through teaching both sides. The sponsors don't think that's what their bill does. We're pointing out to them that's what their bill is doing in Texas.
I still don't understand. If they say they want to teach both sides, what is the other side?
They're saying any divisive concept. They don't mean the Holocaust. They say any divisive concept, any controversial topic should be taught with both sides. And again, what they're trying to stop is a principal coming in and saying, I want you to teach a certain side to something. Doesn't matter what it is, pick slavery or Jim Crow, or pick your topic, civil rights. I want you to teach a certain side of that. I don't want you to teach it from the textbook or whatever else. That's what they're trying to stop. But again, there's a lot of unintended consequences to the way bills like this are written. And I know our Jewish Federation College in Texas had the same fight in Texas this past year. And again, when they were told it's not what they meant, unfortunately now I'm able to say it doesn't matter what you meant, it's what's happening right now.
It's exactly what they meant.
You talked about the state voucher system for education, how it may change and how it affects Jewish day schools.
Sure. So I mean, right now it's pretty set for right now. The budget did increase some of the funding. It allowed several of the different scholarship programs, as they're called, to be merged into sort of one funding source. So there's scholarships. There's a Cleveland specific scholarship program. There's other scholarship programs for distressed or failing schools, and then there's those that are means based, and then there's a specific scholarship for those with autism or other special needs. The other thing that as I mentioned, the other thing that happened this past year in the budget was that they created a scholarship program for various tax credit programs for scholarships, as well as homeschooling and other things, but it allows Pennsylvania, Florida, and Arizona and several other states have these scholarship programs where they're allowed to raise money from people who then get a tax credit for their donation. It helps to provide scholarships to private school students, and at least in Pennsylvania and Arizona, it allows for public schools to also raise funds from people through tax credits for things like extracurricular activities, remedial learning, other things like that. So that program, we were just talking with the Attorney General's office on the regulations on that. Those regulations are now in the comment period, and they'll be going live with that scholarship program probably in the next 30 days or so. And that's another way that non-public schools can raise funds for those students that are in need, as I said. And along with the voucher program, it's actually very helpful to schools around the state. And I think, as you know, obviously there are Jewish day schools that probably wouldn't be around if not for those programs. And specifically, some of them are very diverse, actually, in the sense that there are actually a lot of non-Jewish students in those schools, which are beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, well, that's a lot easier, huh? Can you hear me okay? Wonderful. So, my wife, Molly, my son, Benjamin, and I, we moved here a few years ago, and we were really grateful to be welcomed to such a great community and the blessing of such a great Jewish community. Thanks to the J ticket, our move here was made so much easier. And we also know that it facilitates and enables so many families to remain involved and engaged in the Jewish community in meaningful ways. As you may know, J ticket families make a pledge of $180 as part of the program. My wife, Molly, and I are excited to announce our desire to match increases beyond that by J ticket families this campaign season. Thanks to the efforts of all of you and our community, we are excited about raising our family in Akron and about the future of Jewish Akron.
Molly, you're standing up too. Hey, and Molly. Fabulous. Well, as you know, this is our major gifts event. And we want to encourage you to make your pledge tonight. My husband many years ago said something that several people have told me that they still remember. Bricks and mortar, let the rest of the community know that we are here. Without this campaign, the bricks and mortar will fall. So we need every one of you and every one of your neighbors, friends, etc., to please give and give generously. And we hope those of you who are here tonight will make your pledge tonight. Thank you so much. David, Joyce, anybody want to say anything more?
Said it all.
Thank you all for coming. We look forward to seeing you around town in the future.